Hello everyone, I'm Brittany, the solo mompreneur behind Ginger Patch Designs, and this has been a heavily requested video. I did not think I would ever be making a video about website platforms because I am by no means an expert, but I want to thank my viewers for requesting this, and I've tried to address a lot of the questions that have been in the comments. Even if I haven't responded in the comments, I've been taking notes on those very things. GPD is going on 10 years old, and so I've been in the hobby business realm for most of that time and have since transitioned to full-time. And so I'm not a beginner by any means, but I'm also not rocking and rolling, as I like to say. So if you are a newbie small business owner thinking about starting a little hobby business, or you're already in it and you feel like you're spinning your wheels and you're trying to get your ducks in a row and you just don't know how and you're feeling dumb. Sorry, that was my daughter's timer. If you are a one-woman show like me and everything that you've been looking at out there is just confusing, let me share with you like how and why I began using each platform and then my personal pros and cons to each. And it's not gonna be what you think it is either. I've tried to concisely, like bullet list, lay all this out so that I'm not just blabbering, because if you are not new here, you know I like to talk. I sell handmade sewing accessories, crochet accessories, stickers, apparel, just kind of everything that falls under this cozy, bookish, mommy umbrella, right? And so, and my business has evolved over the years. Like I haven't always done each of those things. And so I needed platforms that were easy to maintain, simple, but could also help me grow the business and help me grow with the business. To be honest, preparing for both this video and the upcoming fall market season, I have my first fall market this Saturday actually. It's led me to make some really big decisions on some major changes as far as these platforms go, but more on that later in the video. Let me give you just a brief backstory on my business, just because the majority of it has been a hobby business and I've since taken it full time. I started my hobby business in 2016 for fun, and to say I even viewed it as a business is absolutely laughable. I just wanted to make enough money to spend on my crafty supplies, as we do. The reason I use multiple platforms is because I started with one, and as my needs grew, aka started selling in person, I expanded. I just want to emphasize, and I probably will again later throughout this video, there is no one size fits all. What worked for me might not work for you. I think the bigger benefit in watching videos like this, no matter what stage of business you are in, is you can take from it what you need or what you want. Like, you don't have to do everything just the way I did. Our needs are going to vary greatly depending on where we are in our business, what our product is, and your own level of engagement with your business. I know it's poison, but it's a bajillion degrees outside and it's just a summer thing, okay? So the starting point for me was Etsy back in 2016. Etsy was a no-brainer for me back then because like that's where everybody starts, and the thought of starting my own website never even crossed my brain. For someone who literally didn't know anything, Etsy was easy to set up. It had the built-in traffic, and everything in their back end was like already formatted for you. All you had to do was just like plug in information. And that was honestly exactly what I needed at the time, because I had zero clues about what I was doing. I internally cringe calling it even a hobby business at the time, because that's so not where my brain was at. I just wanted to make stuff and sell it for fun. Like, I thought it would be fun. So with that, my pros for Etsy are that it's fantastic for beginners. Even though there's been an evolution to the Etsy platform, it is still great for beginners, and I'll explain more about that in just a second. It has a built-in search engine and the SEO that's built in. You still have to do some work with that and some research on keywords and whatnot, and there's plenty of very simple how-to tutorials out there that can explain it much better than I can. It's very easy to list and sell your items given the built-in format that I mentioned. And most importantly, we cannot forget to mention the tax situation. I'm going to mention taxes throughout each of these. This is not a tax video, But please hear me when I say we cannot overlook taxes. Whether you are a hobby business, making it for fun, whatever, whether you overall are just doing markets and you only make a few $1,000s every year, or you're making $50,000 in sales every year, or I mean, if you're making $100,000, you're probably not watching this video, but we cannot overlook taxes. And the beauty of Etsy is it does it for you. It's in air quotes because it takes that sales tax from the sales for you and then gives you the 1099 at the end of the year. So you don't have to worry about setting money aside in a separate bank account for taxes or any of that. It is keeping all of that sales tax for you. The sales tax, there's more taxes to small businesses. That is a conversation for another day. The sales tax. And then it just gives you that piece of paper that you give to your CPA at the end of the year. So that's really handy. So the cons, you don't have as much control over your branding. I think when you're first starting out, this honestly doesn't matter as much because you're just learning how to do, right? Like I was just making it for fun. Like I literally purchased a $40 image brand, whatever, that I customized sort of online, and I couldn't even tell you the website I bought it on, and that was my logo back then. I've actually had 3 different logos for Ginger Patch Designs over the years, and so that could become an issue later on. I know that they have since provided this upgrade where you can customize a custom Etsy website more. I tried it. Like I already had a Shopify though, and which I'll explain more about when I get to the Shopify. But I guess after already having the Shopify, the customizing the Etsy was just like anticlimactic. The fees. I know everybody talks about the Etsy fees all the time, and my answer is not going to be what you think it is. Yes, they have fees, and yes, they can add up. However, the fees are how Etsy makes money. Now, I'm not here to argue like the fairness of the fees or anything. They do take a listing fee, a 20-cent listing fee, and they take transaction fees, and there have since been shipping fees that are new. Is anyone else seeing that? And there's credit card processing fees. Now here's my 2 cents. It only costs you money when you make a sale and you put up listings. Okay, and the listings are good for a few months. And so the listing fees are kind of nominal in my opinion. However, when if you have a large sale and they're taking a percentage of that sale, that's what can add up. But it's almost like a trade-off. You are giving them a portion of your sales to use their platform that has billions of people already on it, and all this built-in traffic to the website. Etsy is a global brand, and so the trade-off, like they're not gonna not make money off of you being a seller on their platform. And I'm sorry to pop in here like this, but it's been a few weeks since I've actually filmed this video, and I'm going through editing the clips. And when I got to the part about Etsy, I realized that I left out some valuable information because it's been a few weeks and I have since learned a few new things about Etsy, which the irony of learning it now right before I'm about to post this video. So Etsy actually does have a one-time flat fee of $15 to join the website. I did not know that because it's been so long since I've been on there, and I just haven't kept up with like what it's like to join as a new Etsy shop owner. So I do apologize for that. And that kind of led me down a slight rabbit hole. Again, I have no evidence to support any of this. There's been a lot of chatter about Etsy being really weird and unfair about their fees. Again, I have not experienced that myself, but just use caution. I still stand by what I said in that Etsy is a great starting place for newbies, and then you can just make decisions based on what's best for your business moving forward. Now back to the real video. At the end of the day, Etsy is a business. Like, yes, they want you to make sales on there, and so they're gonna try and make it reasonable. What reasonable means is different to different people, but the whole concept of paying transaction fees, you're gonna do that if you have a brick and mortar store. Literally any business, restaurant, anything, you are going to have to pay credit card processing fees. So like, I don't really understand why people complain about that because that's very normal. Another con is that algorithm changes can be very frustrating and difficult to keep up with. It feels like every time Etsy does an update, there's this pressure to like go watch a video on someone explaining what the updates are and what you have to do different, which I guess is normal as platforms evolve over time, but it can feel time consuming to do that and a little overwhelming. And like, just as soon as you master one or learn one part of Etsy, they're changing it. But that's just kind of like part of being on the platform, I guess. Now, the last con for me is definitely unpredictability. Again, this is just my experience, but I will show you a graph of my sales since 2016 on Etsy, and it is extremely unpredictable. You can see the highs, the lows, the dips. You can see the big jump in 2020 when you know what was going on, and I was sewing handmade masks. We're not going to talk about the efficacy of masks. People wanted them and I made them, okay? So the thing about selling on a platform like Etsy and they have an algorithm is your store and your listings have history. So like, that's why when you see a listing sell, it often sells again pretty quickly because that listing has history. It has a history of someone liking enough to put it in their cart and to purchase it. And so that's how you gain traction with certain listings. And so the more sales that you have as a shop, your shop has history on Etsy. And so my confusion here on Etsy is that I have a long, nearly decades long history with Etsy. And, you know, for me, my sales on there, I feel, are pretty great as a hobby business up until just recently. That's not to say that other shops aren't doing much better than me. I don't really care because I'm worried about me. But I'm very confused as to why it's so unpredictable. Meaning there will be phases where for a few days, I will get several sales. I'm talking like anywhere from 3, 5, 7, 8 sales, and then a week will go by and literally nothing. Let me check the last time I got a sale, speaking of which, because it's been several days. Ever since they did this recent update, this is gonna go live August of 2025. They did a recent update over the summer about really cracking down on policy and all that and like handmade. And ever since they did that, my Etsy has tanked. If I'm being completely honest, I don't get it. I mean, do you get it? Do you know what's going on? If you do, please tell me. The last completed order was 5 days ago. And it was just a magnetic bookmark, which is a small order. That's wild. I don't understand it. So to summarize Etsy is great for learning how to sell online, how to use an online selling platform, how to communicate with your customers, how to create listings, you know, how to make sure you have great pictures on those listings. Again, this is my experience and many that I know in the crafting community. So again, this is not everyone's experience. Some people are rocking and rolling on Etsy. I'm so happy for them if they are, but I'm not. It's very unpredictable. Holiday season's always great, but other than that, it's not. If you're rocking consistently on Etsy, like seriously, can you share some of your secrets? Next up is Square. Square is awesome for in-person markets. I love Square. It's all I've ever used for in-person markets. I started with just the little chip thingy that you plug into your phone way back when we had the different kinds of plugs on our phones, and they've since evolved over the years. I now have a actual Square checkout stand thingy that was a couple $100s, and I put my iPad in it. In 2017, I did my first real market, and I used Square to take all my card sales. It was super easy. Like, the website is super easy to like add your items, make your prices. You can select whether to add taxes or not. You can customize that. It's super easy, user-friendly, customizable. I was even able to make it easily customizable, like put pictures to certain listings. So it was really easy for my husband to find, like if I had to go to the bathroom, because oftentimes like I will name something that he thinks it would be called something else and then he can't find it. And you know, you're getting frazzled trying to quickly check out the customer so they can be on their way. Square uses an app. The app is free, and at the time, the chip reader is free. To my knowledge, the chip reader is still free. The way Square makes their money is through the transaction fees. And honestly, the transaction fees are very nominal, in my opinion. I honestly don't even think about the fees being a thing when I'm doing my bookkeeping. It's that low. It's very, very fair. There are apps that you can sync your Square to your Shopify. I believe they are paid. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I think most of them are, the good ones are paid. There's no monthly fee to use Square. You literally only pay when those cards swipe and the transaction goes through. So cons of using Square, and there aren't very many. I've been very happy with Square. I think Square focuses more on ease of use and being user friendly than aesthetic and customizing as far as your branding and all of that. They do have a website platform. I have never used it or really dug into it, but I remember it being just kind of meh when I was debating what kind of website platform to go with. Square focuses on being portable and user friendly. Some people might think that the fees are a con, but again, this is very normal. You should expect to pay transaction fees if you are a business owner or you are taking card payments at all. That is completely normal. Can we just normalize not complaining about transaction fees? Unless they're astronomically high for some reason, because that is just part of running a business, my friend. Sorry. So the fact that you don't actually have to pay for Square until you use it and it's only the fees is pretty fantastic. Speaking of markets and in-person events, I actually do have a whole market vendor series that I tried to go in chronological order that helps people know what to expect with markets and learn how to find them, red flags, trying not to get scammed, all of the nitty-gritty of being a market vendor, and I'll make sure to link that playlist down in the description for you. So I pretty much stuck with Etsy and Square for in-person markets until 2023. So the reason I started thinking about my own website was honestly, I wanted more control over the branding. I was rethinking my branding. I thought my brand was boring, and I wanted to revamp it. I wanted to make it nice. Again, this was all before we made the decision for me to leave the classroom. I'm a former middle school teacher and do this full-time at home. And I also wanted something that could help me scale the business. I did not want to go through all that work of learning how to use a website platform because I knew nothing about building websites. That is speaking a different language to me, honestly. It's overwhelming to think about building your own website. And so the thought of doing all of that and then realizing a year, 2 years, 5 years in that it just wasn't meeting my needs anymore and having to move to a new platform, no. So that particularly is why I ultimately chose Shopify. Everything, I did a lot of research. I listened to some podcasts. I watched videos. I read. Everything was pointing towards Shopify being the GOAT for all size businesses, whether you're new, you're medium, or large stores, all use Shopify. It really is fantastic for all size businesses because it's so customizable. This is not sponsored. I have just been very happy with my experience. I wanted something that was mine, separate from Etsy. I had no intention of getting rid of Etsy because around the holiday season, it was still pretty good, and I got trickling sales through there, if that's what we want to call it. It's unpredictable, but they were still trickling in here and there, but not reliable whatsoever. And I wanted to be able to drive my own traffic to my own website. If I'm driving the traffic there, I don't want Etsy to get a cut of that. I want it coming to me because I was starting to get more requests. I was starting to make nicer things. I was starting to get traffic from markets, people oh, what's on your website? And there was a lot of what I sold at markets that I did not put on my Etsy. Another thing that attracted me to Shopify was their integrated apps. I cannot say enough about all of the different There's an app for everything. You know how people say that about your phones? There's an app for everything. Well, there's an app for everything on Shopify. There's so many companies out there. I stumble on my words all the time. I'm sorry. There are so many companies out there that have seen the draw of Shopify, and they want to partner with Shopify, and they create their apps to work, or their products to work with Shopify. It like email, SEO, analytics, social media, marketing. There's TikTok integration, Square integration, Etsy integration. There's way more than I even know about to mention. Like, if you have a need, there's probably an app for that. They're also known for their customer support. I haven't had to use their customer support yet. I've managed to figure my problems out on my own by Googling or watching YouTube videos. But a friend of mine just very recently had to reach out about a tax situation on her orders. The tax was not being withheld properly, and they really took care of her. They were very prompt in their responses, and they were very quick to solve her problem so that her orders could process. And so I've always heard really good things about their customer service platform. It's part of what you pay for in your monthly package. Speaking of monthly package, they have different plans that can also help you grow as a business. I have the basic plan. It's like $40-something a month. But when I first started, I think it was like 3 months for, I can remember, it was like $1 or $5. It was like a 3-month trial run basically, and you had to pay like a really small amount to kind of try it out. And so that's what I did. And then I ultimately upgraded to the smallest package. And honestly, I feel like that's a fantastic trade-off. All the stuff you get with the most basic package is pretty great. And I don't see my need to upgrade anytime soon, if ever. I think I've already mentioned this before, how customizable Shopify is. They have built-in free templates that you can use. You can buy templates. I personally bought a template that was on Etsy that was made by a graphic designer, and it used Canva integrations. And so I use Canva a lot to create what I want my website to look like, and then I just input it on Shopify. And I made that sound a lot easier than it is. It was a huge learning curve, which leads me to the cons. It is a huge learning curve. I will not sugarcoat that. If you were like me and you knew nothing about how to, like, the phrase build a website just makes you shut down, that was me. And so I remember sending my daughter to her Gamey's house one day, and I literally spent 8+ hours that day just creating the bare bones basics of the website, because it was a constant watch a few clips of this video, do that thing, watch a few clips, do that thing. And that's how I learned. And you need to be prepared to go through that process. Now I'm going to follow that with, some people will say, well, you can just outsource and pay someone to do your website. Well, I don't know about you, I can't afford to do that. If you're in the messy middle like me, or especially if you're in the beginning stages, we can't afford to outsource anything. I don't currently outsource anything for my business. I do everything myself. We can't afford to do that. And there is value in taking the time to learn it, because now that I know how to do it, I can make listings, I can change photos, I can use the in website email platform. Like, I know how to use it, and I can do it myself. So every time I want to make a change, no matter how big or small, I don't have to reach out to someone else to do it for me. I just do it. When I was talking about app integrations, I forgot to mention that it also connects. I don't know if integrate or connects is the correct word, but basically on your listings on the back end, it can sync to Google, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok. Like, it can connect your listing to all these other platforms, and that is pretty fantastic. That is going to grow your reach, grow your website. So that's how here on YouTube I'm able to link products. I can link products on my Pinterest page. Don't look at my Pinterest page. It's pretty pitiful because again, I'm a one-woman show and I'm doing the best I can. But The point is that the features are there. I put this in the con, even though I don't really think it's a con. Some people might think that a con is the monthly fee. I don't think the monthly fee is a pro or a con. It is what it is. You're paying to use the platform. There are shipping fees on top of that. Like if you purchased shipping labels through the website, obviously that's an additional cost, or you can use an external site or app for that. You're also paying for any customer support that you need at any time, which if you know nothing about building websites and maintaining websites and all of that, that could save your butt if we're being honest. I think the $40-something a month is to be expected. This is kind of a bigger con, I'm not gonna lie. You are responsible for driving your own traffic to your page. Yes, it integrates with Google and Google search and SEO, but you still have to do a lot of work on the back end driving the website there. You can put as many search terms as you want in there, but considering just how massive the interwebs are, right? I mean, you're gonna get lost if you're not doing some kind of marketing, whether that's free social media marketing or paid marketing to your website. Now, full transparency, I have not yet paid for any type of marketing. I'm just not there yet. My plate is full as a solo mom business owner who is about to start her homeschooling journey for the first time, and so I'm just not there right now. But I hope to be in the future, and if and when I do that, I will be happy to share my experience in future videos. To summarize, I think Shopify is fantastic to grow your brand long-term, grow your email list, and run sales outside of other marketplaces. You have complete control over your own website and everything that entails, and that has been well worth it for me personally. Being on multiple platforms can be super time-consuming and overwhelming. It could be. For me, it's not, because I've been on the platforms for so long. When you're first learning, you're gonna be on them for a while because you're learning how to use them. And so it takes you longer to get certain tasks done. Whereas the more you do them, the less amount of time it's going to take you to do it. I usually get really tongue-tied towards the end of videos. I'm so sorry. Basically, I've spent countless hours learning all the ins and outs of Shopify and Etsy. So basic administrative tasks just don't take me as long as they used to. I just want to throw out there again, I am not an expert. My most recent collection that I dropped, the keepsake collection, was literally the first time that something has not gone wrong. Usually there's something that goes wrong. As long as I've been using it for the past 2 years, I forgot to make a certain listing go live, or I forgot to add all of them to the shipping profiles so people can actually check out. It's always something. So I hope I don't jinx it. And this next drop that's coming this Friday, by the time this video goes live, it will already have dropped. Everything is smooth sailing. You also don't have to be on all these platforms all at once. You can just do Etsy. You can just do Square if you're just doing hobbies, doing markets or whatever. You can start a Shopify right away, but I hope you take some of the pros and cons and decide what's best for your needs and where you are with your business or would-be business or hobby business. Speaking of what's best for our businesses, I have recently made the decision to stop using Square. Not because I don't like it. It's been a wonderful ride with Square. I'm going to keep using it at least for this Saturday's market that I'm going to until I can fully make the transition. But having had Shopify for 2 years now, it was basically either buy the little checkout thingy that is for Shopify, and then everything inventory wise is just there, streamlined. I don't have to update it behind the scenes when I get home. I don't have to pay monthly for an app that will sync that inventory for me. My Square checkout stand is also not brand new. I actually use an older iPad because the port on it is for the older plug, and I don't know what it's called, but you know the new plugs on the iPhones? It doesn't have that. It has the old one that's skinnier, if that makes sense. So again, this is a perfect example of there's nothing wrong with Square. My market season has grown to a point where I needed something more streamlined for inventory on the back end. And I want to start creating barcodes for the products at in-person markets to help streamline the checkout process. And that will greatly help my husband when he's helping people check out. So all of that to say, your business evolves, and depending on what your needs are, I hope this video was super helpful to you. So here's a quick recap of all of them. Etsy is great for beginners. When you're ready to grow, I highly recommend Shopify, but again, taking the time to learn it will be 100% worth it. It will help you build your brand and a loyal customer base. And then Square is a great way to make easy in-person sales, and it's quick to help you get started. So I'm curious what platforms that everyone that's watching is using or has been thinking about using. And don't forget to like this video if you found it very helpful. It will help other crafty girlies or small business owners like you find my channel. Make sure you subscribe for future content like this. And don't forget to sign up on my website because I send all kinds of cute emails here and there. Thank you so much for watching, friends. I hope this was helpful. Leave me a comment down below and I will see you next time. Bye.